Hello, greetings from Santa Gazmer, pastor at Shalom Victory Church, located at Akron, Ohio. Today, I do have a very special message for all of our youth and to all of those who are listening to me. And the topic that I want to share with you is putting God first. Putting God first. What if I told you that the difference between being forgotten and being favored is in the talent, but in your priorities that you make? Think about very young Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, thrown in the pit. And what happens? He was sold as a slave, falsely accused, and locked in the prison. In every situation and every stage of his walk, he chose God. He never complained. He put God first, and he kept on choosing God. He decided to walk according to the will of God. When no one was watching, he was according to the will of God. He put God first. That's why prison became a pathway for him, and pain became his promotion. But here's the real question: are you putting God first when the life is good, or even when you feel that the life is bitter or everything has fallen apart? That's the real thing that we have to think about. That's we have to imagine, and that we have to take care of. That's exactly what happened in the life of Joseph. One of the special character I really like, which is mentioned in the Bible, that you can see in chapter 37 and onwards. His life wasn't very straight, full of success, but it was just like a roller coaster of pain, betrayal, a lot of waiting that he had to do. But here's the real key: Joseph kept putting God first, no matter what, where he was, no matter what, like the situation that was coming in his life, and that made all the difference that came in his future. Let's see, like scene by scene, what happens. First of all, in scene number one, we can see Joseph is in the pit. He has been betrayed by his brothers, and because of that, he's being thrown in the pit, which is mentioned in the Bible of Genesis chapter 37, verse 23 through 28. You can just see that. Imagine where there is no friends, no help, no hope at all in the life of Joseph. But here's the more powerful thing that you have to listen. Even in the pit, Joseph didn't lose his faith. Sometimes your pit looks like rejection, failure, loneliness, but do not forget, put God first, no matter what. It all means trust God and lift His holy name and walk according to His will. Always remember, the pit is not the end of preparation, but end of everything, but it's just a preparation. God prepares in the same way. God is not done with each and every individuals. He will not forget. He will not forget when we are in that situation. But the beginning of the life, beginning of the our ways starts from there. That's why it's very important, my dear youngsters, to look at the life of Joseph. After that, Joseph reaches in another scene, Potiphar's house. So Joseph, he was put in the pit. Thereafter, he got sold as a slave. And what happens, which is mentioned in Genesis chapter 37, verse 28. Now let's see what happens here. So when the Midianite merchant came by, his brothers pulled Joseph out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. That's how the plan of God gets waved from one to another. It gets connected from one to another. Now here, Potiphar's house. Before he was in the pit. Now he's in Potiphar's house. That the difference in place, but same test, same situation. Guess what? Joseph walks very faithfully on the path. He honors God. He respects God. Even when no one was watching, he was very and truly honoring God. That comes the temptation. Thereafter, all the temptation that comes in his life, he he withstands. He overcomes everything. Potiphar's wives tried to pull him into the sin, but what happens? Let us read in Genesis chapter 37, 11 and 12. One day he went into the house to attend his duties. No one was household, the servant was there inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, come to bed with me. But he left his cloak and her hand and ran away from the house, which is mentioned in Genesis chapter 39, verse 11 through 12. So what happens here? Joseph, he was in the temptation area. Before he was in the pit, the deepest part of his life. Now he is taken to the Potiphar's house, where he is full of temptations. My dear youngsters, my dear youth, my dear brothers and sisters, many times in our life we come across that situation full of temptations. But listen and very understand very clearly. Joseph, when he learn to put God first, he overcome. He got the power. He got the courage to overcome that kind of temptation. So story doesn't end there. Here Joseph had a choice. There was a lot of pleasures, a lot of good things, but honoring God was his first priorities. That's why if you start giving priorities to God, God will help in each and every situation of our life. That's why young people, this is the real question and this is the real life situation. But do not forget, put God first. Doing these things right, even if it has even if it costs something to you, learn to put God first. Everything gets straight in our life. Now, scene three, or third scene, where we can see Joseph now from Potiphar's house has been straightly taken to prison because of the situation. So here, because Joseph did the right thing, he ended up, though he did very good thing and right thing, he ended up in a prison. It was not fair, right? It was not good to him. It didn't. Everybody feels like it was not fair. That's why when we read Genesis chapter 39, 20, 19 and 20, what we can see, what we can find here. When his master heard the story of his wife that she told to him, she started saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. The husband burned with anger, and Joseph master took him to the prison, at the place where the king's prisoners were confined and put inside. But even there, Joseph always got aligned with God. He learned to put God first. But even in the prison, Joseph did not give up. He served, he trusted, he stayed faithful no matter what. He was always there with his faithful heart. My dear brothers and sisters, once we are faithful to God, it is Him who will take care of our situation. Listen to me very carefully. Just because you are doing right doesn't mean life gets easy. But God is still working behind the scene, my brothers and sisters. God is always there to take care of us. When we learn to put God first, it is Him who will take care of us. Your prison might be the season where nothing makes sense to you, but God is still shaping you, making you, guiding you, and our character so that He can reveal His calling in our life. So that's why when we go through that kind of situation, just we have to understand God is making my character, refining my character from being thrown in the pit, tempted in the Potiphar's house, chained in the prison. Now finally Joseph reaches his final destination, that is palace, where he gets a moment to prosper. He has got the power. He has got all potential that God has stored in him. But the thing is that he went through all the situation and finally he reached to that place where he could exercise his talents. So, which is mentioned in Genesis chapter 37:23, we can see here repeatedly says God was with Joseph. God was with Joseph. When we learn to put God first, you know what happens? God will be always with us, just like the way God was with Joseph, even in the deepest pit, even in the highest place, which is palace. God was always with him. That's why Everything changed in his life, but his faithful heart never changed. This is all. Joseph is called out of the prison. God gave his way and everything according to the will of God. He was able to interpret the dream of Pharaoh. That's how he got the way to enter inside the palace. If you read Genesis chapter 41, verse 1 through 24, you can find there. God gave him enough wisdom, talents, and all of the things that he had stored. He could interpret the dream of Pharaoh, and he became that's how he was able to become the next powerful personality in Egypt, beside Pharaoh. So from pit to palace, the journey of Joseph was full of pain, temptation, rejection. Everything came in his life, but in each and every steps, Joseph always put God first. That's why, let me ask you a question: are you really putting God first? Why? It's not because Joseph was lucky. It's not because Joseph was doing something, that he had done very good thing. But God has a purpose in his life, and he had learned to put God first. That's how, the lowest point of his moment, God was with him. He learned to put God first. And a greatest point of his life, that's in palace. He learned to put God first. That's how God really helped in each and every steps of Joseph. That's why my question for you, each and every individuals, my youngsters, my youth, those who are watching this video, I do have one question. Will you put God first in your life? Are ready to put God first in your life? Just like the way Joseph did. He put God first in his life. That's why God used him very mightily for his glory. So that's why, will you put the God first? Are you willing to give priorities to God? Are you willing to give each and every desires of your that you have in your heart and mind, and giving that to God? That's how we learn to put God first. Joseph didn't wait for the palace, but it's God who took him to the palace. Situation automatically takes us to the palace where God, or the place where God wants us to go. That's why, my dear youngsters, if you put God first and keep watching, God will start showing and revealing good things and good packages that you have stored in your life. Here's the message, and this is the important message that I want to share. When we learn to put God first in our life, God will make straight everything, whatever He has into our life, and He will reveal the real purpose and real future that He has stored in His storehouse of grace. Thank you for watching. May God bless each and every youth, every individuals, for His next glory. Greetings and thank you for watching this video. Jai Masi.